Shalom Chavrim, I'm Stephen Ben-Nun. You're watching Israeli News Live. Shalom to those of you in Alabama tonight. Saw that as I was getting ready to come on, so just a blessing out to you guys there. I'm pretty excited this evening. I got an email from a friend of mine that lives in Israel, and just want to say it's really a blessing. I took the time to read the entire email, and I can tell you that just from the things that the friend that I have there that shared with me, there's a really positive impact that we're having on Israel in multiple areas. And of course, I was also told, I'm sure that I'm making some people a little bit irritated as well. But that's not really the point. The point is to tell people the truth, really bring out what's happening in the world today. And of course, my greatest desire of all is for my own people, for their eyes to be opened and to recognize truly who the Mashiach really is, his identity. The weekend is starting tomorrow. Yom Shabbat begins tomorrow evening, and we are going to be gearing up for this entire weekend here with just a barrage of teachings as well as news insights. We'll be on Danun Institute, Patreon, as well as here on Israeli News Live. Going to be sharing some in-depth things with you guys. And tonight's news is actually pretty in-depth. I didn't anticipate to go as deep as I was going to, but it is. So let's get right into it. And again, let me just encourage you, those of you that are listening tonight that have a true heart for Israel, realize we are here and our desire is to stand with the people of Israel, stand with those that want to know what the truth really is. Okay, that's our desire, is to really stand with my people and of course to recognize Mashiach. But again, as I've stated over and over and over, it's as if time has stood still nearly, and we are just seeing time start over again. So all the things that were happening back when in 70 AD, we are seeing once again reset up everything from the Sanhedrin to the debate over the Messiah, who or who he is not, and the Roman authorities in control in the country. All these things are happening, and you guys are the ones that are making it possible for this broadcast to be on the air by your support of this ministry, IsraeliNewsLive.org. You support the work that we do here, and we are having an impact. And I want to thank you because you're the ones that make that happen. Don't want to get into any more of that. Let's get right into the news here. Pompeo and Lavrov discuss U.S. concerns about the possible military activity in Idlib. Boy, there is a major issue over Idlib, and I'm really kind of dumbfounded by this. I need to do a little bit deeper research. Normally when you see the U.S. and the allies really start getting nervous about a certain province in Syria, that generally tells me that they've got some assets on the ground in that area, and they're very concerned about either A, getting them out of that area, or B, they don't want the Syrian and Russian forces in the area. Turkey clearly has their own assets there, the different rebel factions that they are using to fight this battle. And of course, Russia is trying to determine between moderate and terrorist in the region there. Bashar al-Assad just looks at them all as being terrorists. He doesn't look at it one being moderate and one not moderate, but he's at the becking whim of the Russian government as to whether or not he can take back parts of his country or not. And Idlib has become a contentious area, and the possibility of chemical weapons attack is very realistic. But again, I don't see it coming from the Syrian government. If anywhere, it'll come from the White Helmets and their little thugs in the country. But Bolton again warns Assad, we will respond if chemical weapons used in Idlib offensive. Wow. You can take that one to the bank, I can assure you. And especially with President Trump now bogged down with his own attorney pleading guilty and doing a lighter sentence and pretty much handing Trump over to the wolves to get gobbled up by this whole issue of his sexual improprieties and paying off those women not to talk about anything. Yeah, that's going to be this will be a great time to get the media on something else. So maybe there will be a chemical weapons attack. And I know some of you guys don't like me saying that, especially those that love President Trump. But hey, every president in the past has always done it. Bad things come down their way. Yeah, let's use a little bit of war powers there to get everybody distracted. And in fact, there was another article that I saw just came out as well, where Bolton was weighing in on whether or not Trump is going to recognize the Golan as belonging to Israel. This is a pretty good time for him to do that, also to be able to garner more support from the evangelical community. Yeah, that would really help out a lot, especially the trouble he's in right now. So, but it's not the only issue. You know, they keep blaming Assad as if he was the one that gassed his own people. And I like to bring it up. In fact, this time I figured, you know, look, forget the whole idea of just assuming. Let's again bring Aaron Erdem on in his famous public dissertation before the parliament. He was an MP member of the Turkish parliament. This was on December the 10th, 2015. And Aaron Erdem speaks to the parliament. And he actually speaks about Erdogan, who was then prime minister, and how he allowed these terrorist ISIS militants coming through his country with sarin gas to be the charges dropped and as well sent into Syria to use that weapons on the children of Syria. Let's watch it again. This is my whole point. There was no such thing as President Bashar al-Assad gassing his own people. This was the sarin gas that came from Benghazi under Hillary Clinton, smuggled by the CIA operatives there. That Seymour Hersh talks about that rat line between the CIA operatives and Erdogan in Turkey, using ISIS militants to smuggle the sarin gas that came from Libya inside of Syria and then blame it on Assad. There's documents proving the U.S. was going to do this under Obama's administration. So if you want to blame it on Obama, blame it on Obama. You want to blame it on Hillary, blame it on Hillary. Nonetheless, the facts are facts. Listen to the parliament member speak before his own parliament in Turkey before they did the fake coup and rounded everybody up and threw them in prison, and including Aaron Erdem got thrown in prison too. Listen into this. Well, we'll turn the volume down. Don't have to listen to the Turkish too loud.
Kimyasal silah olan sarin gazının ham maddesinin sevkiyatını sağlamıştır.
Okay, so the prosecutor initiated an investigation. Here, please look at this. I am showing this to you. The prosecutor made arrest under that investigation, and he shows the actual document of this. So the individuals who were suspected to have carried out the transportation were arrested and put in prison. The prosecutor ordered the telephones of those suspects to be wiretapped, which is also stated in the indictment. Mr. Minister of Justice Bozdag is also well aware of the details of this indictment because he himself went on air and made statements. But do you know what happened? In 1 week's time, that case was closed. The suspects were released and were allowed to leave Turkey by crossing over the Syrian border. Now I ask you, is this what you understand as justice? Okay? To set free people transporting sarin gas? I am asking, he says. One journalist states that this is much worse than all I have said before. Do you know who says that the Republic of Turkey has dispatched ammunition to Al-Qaeda terrorist organization? By orders of the Prime Minister serving at the time as Erdogan.
Bakın sen
Let me tell you,
Adana var.
Governor of Adnan Hussein of Nikos.
Coş. Tutanaklarda var.
Here the records made by the government are here. And if any of you would like to have them, you can have a photocopy of them. He goes on to say that the blood of the children that were killed in the Syrian gas attack, which I believe was at 2013, he said is on the Turkish people's hands. That is a government hearing. That's like C-SPAN in America. Telling you, the parliament member there telling you and holding up the very documents. I mean, you could go back and probably even zoom in and actually, in fact, there's he's like the boss of there, like we'd have in our own parliament, right? But let me find it again here. Because you could probably, just by the way he holds that paper up there, yeah, if you have the right technology, you could probably zoom it in and actually read what's on the paperwork there. The thing is that Assad did not gas his own people. Sarin gas was smuggled through Turkey. The evidence is right here. The parliament of the Turkish government. And nobody dares bring this out in mainstream media. Why? What are they scared of? What are they scared of at Fox News? What are they scared of at CNN? Oh, I'm sorry. You're controlled by the military-industrial complex that needs to make multi-billions of dollars off of selling more bombs to blow somebody up. And by the way, President Trump owns stock in the companies that would actually launch the cruise missiles into Syria once again if the alleged chemical attack does happen. Jeez, no matter how hard I try to tell people the truth, nobody cares to hear it. Isn't it a shame? No one. Moving on though, the white helmets. This is coming out today also. By the way, people ask me to always tell you the date. Today is the 23rd, if I remember right. This is on Fort Russ's news site. White helmets planning terrorist chemical attack in Idlib. False flag to trigger U.S. airstrike. They were spotted by numerous confirmed sources using about 8 vans to transport barrels from Adamat factory near the Turkish border, which specializes in recycling chlorine. Sana has reported this as well as numerous other reliable sources based outside the Alkalis Imperial Reach. The FRN has come under pronounced attack in the last 48 hours as we have covered events leading up to what will be the liberation of Idlib by Syrian Arab Army forces, the SAA. However, as we have cautioned, it appears very likely that the U.S. deep state is preparing a false flag or a hoax attack. This, as FRN has said, explains the recent ramping up of censorship of independent news and analyst sites like FRN. That's the same thing with us. Well, I'm sure we're down on, let's see how many people are watching live, just out of curiosity. What do we got over here? Oh, wow, yeah, 363? Yeah, they're suppressing it. They don't want you to know. I mean, they really don't want you to know. You know what would really, let's do them some damage back. Can you do me a major favor? Share it everywhere you possibly can. When we're done with the video, give it about 30 minutes to finish doing its thing, for the processing time or whatever. Share it on every social media you possibly can. If you write a blog, write it in the blog, Israeli News Live, link it, backlink it through your backlink, thumbs up it, everything you possibly can do so that we can expose what they're up to. Because believe me, I'm not like some of these other independent news that's supposed to be Christians that are Israeli independent news media that are telling you the lies. They're only telling you mainstream propaganda. Yeah, they work for the Mossad. What do you expect? And by the way, the Mossad is not loyal to the Israeli government. Not to say that every Mossad agent is bad. There no doubt are some good ones out there. But I know who the loyalty resides with, and it is with the Vatican. I know that because I know agents that were friends of mine And believe me, when I exposed Rome's connection and Shimon Peres and Netanyahu and all what they were doing, they went ballistic. Don't you dare speak like that. Yeah. All right. Let's get back into it. So thumbs up the video. Drive Google nuts. Post it everywhere you can. You know? Tell people, we got to tell people the truth. I mean, I do not want to be on the side one day that I have to wake up and find out that I have lied to the world, or I sensationalize things like some of these ministers do. They're out there sensationalizing everything, or they've lied to you. They won't tell you the truth of what's happening, or you stand there with all the crimes that are happening in the world, and you know, that, whether it be the U.S. crimes that are happening, whether it be Russian crimes that are happening, or any other nation, anywhere in the world that are doing evils to humanity and to the people of the world, and then wake up one day and say, oh, I'm sorry. I was just trying to do things that made everybody feel good. Now stand for truth, people, please. Sputnik also is reporting the Syrian government troops have downed 3 combat drones in the Idlib province recently. And of course, we know this is all going to spike up. Also here on rusvesna.su, which is, I think that's for the Soviet Union's website, the former Soviet Union. They are reporting here in the Russian language here, humanitarian corridor was open, only one humanitarian corridor that is. Rusvesna is actually what the name of the site there, and that there has been a large number of women and children that have tried to flee the area since yesterday. They were putting out announcements, etc., for the people to let them know there was a corridor for them to leave in. And they're stating in the article here, though, it will definitely, no doubt, be that the terrorists are going to use those that are unable to leave as human shields in between the Tiger forces and, of course, the terrorists that are battling back on the ground. Very troubling. It will happen, no doubt. Turkey, according to Al Monitor, is amassing forces on the Syrian rebel factions at Idlib. They definitely are backing up the terrorists that are fighting against the Syrian government. And, you know, which still blows my mind away that Russia actually even gives Turkey the time of day. And that's just troubling to me. It's got, you know, you want to talk about Russian collusion. Well, when it comes to Turkey, there's got to be some collusion. And I do realize that some of my friends in Russian journalism have told me before, it's a bigger picture than what you can realize, Steve. You know, they try to balance out what's the worser of two evils. But at the end of the day, I cannot help but think we got a new world order coming, and this whole region has to be conquered for that purpose. You know, Trump is talking about next month, I think on the 25th of September, revealing his two-state solution plan, or his Israeli peace plan, maybe not a two-state solution, but a regional solution. And so I have a feeling, especially right here during the height of the holidays, Israeli holidays, plus the major Mekodeshit that'll be going on in Israel, which is uniting a one-world religious viewpoint, something we exposed when they first started this 2 years ago. That'll be at its peak as well. I cannot help but believe that all this is being set up at a specific time, and this may be the, unless something changes, this war could take a serious turn, and it may make that turn for specifically that announcement coming in September. So just watching. In fact, the video I posted up here tonight is the outskirts of Damascus there, and I posted that mainly because I took the picture myself, and it just reminds me that the biblical passage over there in Isaiah about Damascus becoming a ruinous heap is still a very real possibility, because the U.S. could use Damascus as their retaliation point if indeed they stage this chemical weapons attack and then turn on the Syrian government. They may really try to take out Assad at that point, and Prime Minister Netanyahu may join in with that. I do not know if he will or will not. I know right now Israel is more concerned about the Iranian fighters in their positions inside of Syria, and So we'll just have to wait and see how that all plays out. Also, turning the attention to Ukraine, the crisis, 5 soldiers killed in the clashes in the east there, coming out today on August the 23rd. The heavy fire is going against the people of Donetsk, and they have reported, though, that 5 were killed. I think 7 have been injured. And a 50-kilometer northwest of Luhansk, another was killed by artillery fire. Ukraine and pro-Russian rebels have blamed each other for violating the current ceasefire. The deaths come amid a spike in violence following clashes last week. Ukrainian negotiators have said that a new ceasefire is due to come into effect on the 29th of August in time for the new school year. Moscow denies sending its troops and providing weapons to the separatists, but admits that Russian volunteers are helping the rebels. I believe Russia's doing that, but the thing is, if they didn't do it, the Ukrainians, it would be a bloodbath, because it's ethnic Russians, mostly in the eastern part of Ukraine, and since the fall of Yanukovych from power, it would definitely be a genocide. It's a bunch of neo-Nazis, and I'm very troubled to see that Israel has armed these people. There's been an outcry amongst the Israelis calling on the government not to arm neo-Nazi thugs inside of Ukraine. But that continues to happen, and all we can do is hope that that will change. Saudi Arabia also, according to the Al Monitor, warplanes killed 26 women, children in Hodaya, according to the local monitor there. Very sad situation. The whole issue in Yemen is a humanitarian catastrophe. The Saudi coalition allegedly killed at least 26 women and children in Hodaya Governorate. Today, a local human rights group reported, according to their report, at least 22 children and 4 women were killed in an Al-Drahami district of Hodaya after a Saudi warplane struck the area. The Saudi coalition has responded to these allegations by claiming the Houthi forces were behind this latest massacre. Earlier this month, at least 51 people were killed, including 40 children, when a Saudi warplane bombed a bus in Sadr, the governorate. It's funny how well they can just cover up for the Saudis. Doesn't matter what they do. Cover up, cover up, cover up, cover up. Allegedly on 9/11, we have that it was Saudi nationals that were aboard all the planes. Now, there's a lot of issues I have about all this to start with, but isn't it funny, though, we went to war with Iraq instead? That just doesn't make sense. It shows you how that money can buy whatever they want it to buy. Unreal. I'll be curious to see what Trump's plan is. I keep thinking about Neom, the AI city, and the tri-state where it's going to be Israel, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia. This may be part of that regional deal. What will the Palestinians get out of it? Curious to see how that plays out. And how much bigger of a regional bloc will this be? Maybe that requires the toppling of the Syrian government. Don't know. I'm Stephen Ben-Nun. You're watching Israeli News Live. Thank you for supporting the broadcast, israelinewslive.org. And we will see you this weekend with some very interesting broadcasts. Shalom.